Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a real puzzle from the Gospel of Matthew, one where the geography is every bit as important as the theology, and it all boils down to one central question.
So yeah, that's the big question, right? Why on earth would a mission of light and hope kick off in a place described with such dark, heavy words?
All right, so here's how we're going to tackle this. Think of it as our roadmap. We're going to follow the clues that the author, Matthew, lays out for us piece by piece to really uncover the powerful message behind this choice. First things first, let's talk about that puzzling starting point. We have to start with the text itself, which, sets the stage for this world-changing mission in a surprisingly grim location. The author is super specific here. It's not just somewhere up north. No, it's Capernaum, right by the sea in Galilee. Now, when an author gives you that much detail, it's like they're waving a giant flag saying, hey, pay attention, this location matters. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. It's not just about what Matthew puts in the story, but what he deliberately chooses to leave out. This is where we start to see the author's master plan at work. Look at this. The other Gospels, like John and Luke, they talk about all these huge events happening before Jesus really gets going in Galilee. But Matthew? Nope. He hits the fast-forward button, he zips right past all that stuff, because he is on a mission to get Jesus to one specific place for one very specific reason. And this is a super important thing to get our heads around. The Gospels aren't just minute-by-minute biographies, right? They're more like theological arguments. Each author is building a case, laying out the evidence in a specific way to prove a point. And for Matthew, getting Jesus to Galilee is his next big exhibit. So why? Why the mad dash to Galilee? Why skip over miracles and other big stories? Well, the answer, it turns out, isn't about what Jesus was doing there, but what his very presence there meant. The key that unlocks this whole thing is hiding in an ancient prophecy from the Old Testament. And Matthew basically just hands us the answer on a silver platter. He doesn't make us hunt for it. He literally pauses the story and says, hey, you, the reader, this happened for a reason. He's showing us his cards, telling us exactly how to solve this puzzle. And boom, there it is. This is the heart of Matthew's entire point. This area, known as Galilee of the Gentiles, because it was so far from the religious center of Jerusalem, well, this very place was called out in prophecy as a place of deep spiritual darkness. So Jesus showing up there, that's not a random road trip. It's the direct fulfillment of this incredible hope that a great light would finally dawn in the absolute darkest of places. Okay, let's pull up a map for a second because the actual geography here is packed with meaning. Matthew expects his readers to understand this, and it's pretty profound. You see, in the biblical world, the Jordan River wasn't just a river. It was a huge symbolic line in the sand. On the west side, you've got Jerusalem and Judea. That's the heartland of the Jewish faith. But on the east side, you've got places like the Decapolis, heavily Greek, totally pagan. We're talking Gentile territory. So with that in mind, check out who Matthew says is following Jesus. It's not just people from Galilee. It's crowds from the Decapolis, from Jerusalem, from Judea, and from beyond the Jordan. People are coming from both sides of that divide. You see what he's doing? Matthew is painting this incredible picture of everyone, Jews and Gentiles, insiders and outsiders, basically the whole world flocking to see Jesus. And this idea, this massive global mission, it's also tucked away, hiding in plain sight, inside one of the most famous things Jesus ever said. When Jesus calls out to Simon Peter and Andrew, he uses this phrase. Now, to us, fishers of men is just a famous saying. But to a first-century person who really knew their scriptures, that phrase would have set off alarm bells in a good way. It would have immediately reminded him of something powerful from the prophets. Yeah, it connects straight back to a prophecy in the book of Jeremiah. God says he's going to send fishers to find and gather up his scattered people. So when Jesus uses that exact phrase, he's basically announcing, hey, that great gathering you've been waiting for, it's starting right now. But, and this is the key, as we just saw with the crowds, he's blowing the doors off the mission. It's not just for the scattered people of Israel anymore. It's for the whole world. Okay, so let's put it all together. You've got Matthew's deliberate timeline. You've got the Isaiah prophecy, the symbolic geography, that fishers of men echo. All these puzzle pieces fit together to reveal this really powerful model for ministry that Jesus sets up from day one. Just think about it for a second. He could have started his big public ministry anywhere. The most logical place? Jerusalem, of course, the center of religious power.
But he doesn't. He intentionally goes to the complete opposite end of the map, to the margins, to the place they literally called Galilee of the Gentiles, the place Isaiah called darkness. And what's his game plan when he gets there? It's beautifully simple. Step 1, he teaches. He brings the light of the gospel to people living in spiritual darkness. And step 2, he heals. He brings physical restoration to people suffering in the shadow of death. He's meeting both the spiritual and the physical needs right where the pain is the worst. So here's the bottom line. This whole story about starting in Galilee, it's not just a random fact for a history book. Matthew put it right at the front for a reason. It's a template. It's a deliberate model for anyone who wants to follow him. The mission is to go where it's dark and bring light and healing.
And that really just leaves us with one final, pretty challenging question. Matthew's not just telling us a story about what happened 2,000 years ago. He's asking us to look at our own lives. If this was the model Jesus set, are we willing to go to the dark places too?